The wind was silent on the ruined world. Gray dust covered the land, and broken towers of stone reached up like the bones of giants. No birds, no animals, no sound of life. Only the crunch of human boots as Captain Elias Kane walked carefully across the ancient ground. He was alone. His ship had landed hours ago, guided by strange signals that had appeared suddenly in the star maps. The signals carried no words, only pulses of sound, steady, repeating like a heartbeat calling him here. He had followed, curious and cautious because humans always searched for answers among the stars. Elias checked his scanner. The device beeped softly, showing faint signs of energy. It was not from machines, but something different, something alive. He narrowed his eyes, looking at the ruins ahead. His mission was simple: explore, record, and survive. Yet he felt a weight pressing down on him, as if the world itself was watching. He walked through a half-collapsed archway, the stones blackened with age. Dust shifted under his boots. The air smelled dry, bitter, as though even the wind had died long ago. His helmet screen flashed warnings of low oxygen but still safe. He switched the scanner again. Stronger signals now. Something was here. A whisper broke the silence. Elias froze. He turned quickly, hand on his blaster. But there was nothing. Only shadows, broken walls, and silence. He told himself it was just the wind playing tricks. He had been alone for weeks. Perhaps his mind was beginning to create voices. He pushed forward into the dark corridors of the ruin. Then he heard it again. Not wind, not machine. A voice, soft, broken, begging, "Help, please." Elias stopped breathing for a moment. His heart pounded in his chest. Slowly, carefully, he lifted his light and turned it toward the sound. And there she was. A figure stood in the shadows, thin and trembling. At first, Elias thought she was human. Her face was pale, her body weak, her hair long and tangled like dark smoke. But her eyes glowed faintly with silver light, like the reflection of stars in deep water. She stepped forward, stumbling as if she had no strength left. Her voice shook, desperate, full of pain. "My children, they have not eaten for days." Elias stared, silent. His hand tightened on his blaster, ready for anything. The woman fell to her knees before him. Dust rose around her as she bowed her head low. "Nourish them," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Nourish them, and I will be yours forever." Elias felt a chill run down his spine. He wanted to ask, children? Where were they? Why had she been waiting in these ruins? Who was she really? But the words caught in his throat. Something in her tone was not only desperate, it was ancient. Her silver eyes rose to meet his. In them, Elias saw hunger, sadness, and something else. Hope, faint and fragile like the last flame of a dying fire. The human inside him wanted to help. But the soldier in him, the explorer who had survived countless dangers, warned him to be careful. He had seen tricks before. Worlds where friendly faces hid sharp teeth, civilizations that smiled before striking, and yet something about her did not feel like a lie. The ruins around them groaned with the weight of centuries. A stone collapsed behind him, echoing like thunder through the hollow halls. The woman did not move, still kneeling, still begging. Elias asked at last, his voice steady but cautious, "Where are your children?" She lifted her head slowly. Her lips trembled. "Below," she whispered. In the dark, waiting. The way she said it sent shivers through his skin. He imagined small figures, hungry eyes, waiting in tunnels far beneath the ground. But were they truly children? Or something far worse? Her hands reached toward him, thin and fragile. "Please," she begged. "They are weak. They will die without food. If you save them, you will not be alone again. We will serve you. We will belong to you." Elias stepped back, his light shaking slightly in his hand. He could feel the decision pulling at him. The explorer inside wanted to see more, to find the truth hidden in the ruins. The man inside wanted to turn back, return to the safety of his ship, and never look behind. But curiosity was stronger. He lowered his blaster, but did not put it away. "Show me," he said at last. The woman's lips curved into a small, broken smile. She stood, still trembling, and began to walk deeper into the ruins. The shadows seemed to swallow her, her silver eyes glowing faintly like stars leading him into darkness. Elias followed, each step louder than the last, echoing in the tunnels. He told himself it was only for discovery, only for answers. But deep in his heart, he knew. He had already stepped into something much larger than himself, and behind them, In the silence of the ruins, other whispers began to rise. The ruins grew darker as Elias followed the strange woman. Her steps were slow, almost fragile, but there was something unnatural about her balance. Even in the broken stones and uneven ground, she never stumbled. Her glowing silver eyes were like tiny lanterns in the shadows, pulling him forward against his better judgment. The tunnel smelled of damp dust and old smoke, as though fires had burned here long ago. Elias's helmet light cut through the dark, showing carvings on the walls, symbols, circles, shapes he could not understand. Some looked almost alive, like veins crawling across the stone. He glanced at the woman. "What are you?" he asked carefully. She turned her head just slightly, her tangled hair falling across her face. "A mother," she whispered. "That is all I am. A mother with starving children." Her voice was soft but heavy with sorrow. Elias tightened his grip on his weapon. He did not trust her words fully. He had seen too many worlds, too many beings that wore human shapes but were not human at all. "Why call me?" Elias asked. "Why not someone else?" Her silver eyes glowed brighter for a moment. "Because you came. Others never stayed. They were afraid. But you, human, you are different. Different." The word sank deep into Elias's mind. He was not sure if it was a compliment or a warning. They reached a wider chamber. Broken pillars rose like shattered teeth from the floor. A cracked ceiling above let in thin beams of light, pale and weak, but enough to reveal the size of the place. Elias could see more symbols scratched into the stone, old and desperate, like prayers written by dying hands. The woman stopped at the edge of the chamber and turned to face him. Her body shook as if she could barely stand, yet her voice was steady when she spoke. "My children wait below," she said, "but they will not trust you yet. They are afraid. They are weak. You must give them food. Only then will they rise." Elias frowned. "Food? I don't have much." "Only rations," her eyes widened. "It will be enough. They need only a little." To remember strength, he hesitated. His rations were limited. He needed them to survive his mission, to make the return journey. Sharing them with unknown creatures was dangerous. If he ran out, he would starve too. The woman seemed to sense his hesitation. She lowered her head, her voice breaking. "If you save them, I will be yours forever. I will guide you, protect you, give you knowledge that no other human has. You will not be alone in the stars again." Her words struck something deep inside Elias. Loneliness, the silence of space, the endless years of duty where only machines answered back. He felt the weight of it pressing on him now, heavier than ever. But another thought gnawed at him. What if this was a trap? What if the children were no children at all, but monsters waiting to feed on him? He studied her again. Pale skin, glowing eyes, trembling hands. She looked weak, desperate, almost broken. Could she really be lying? Or was she simply a mother, begging for her young? Elias's instincts screamed at him to turn back. But his curiosity was stronger. It always was. That curiosity had led him across galaxies into ruins no human had ever seen, and now it brought him here, standing on the edge of a choice he might regret forever. Finally, he reached into his pack. He pulled out a sealed ration bar, rough and square, packed with the calories needed for survival. He held it up. The woman's eyes locked on it instantly, shining with hunger, not for herself, but for the children she spoke of. "You will not regret this," she whispered. She stepped closer, her hand rising, but Elias did not let her touch it. He held it tight. "First," he said, his voice cold, "tell me the truth. What are your children?" The woman froze. Her lips trembled, her voice lowering to a whisper. "They are mine. That is all that matters." Her answer was not enough. Elias narrowed his eyes. "If they are dangerous, if this is a trick." "They are not dangerous to you," she interrupted quickly. Her voice grew desperate again. "To others, maybe, but not to you. They will know you. They will serve you." The word serve sent another chill down Elias's spine. He looked at the ration bar in his hand, then back at the woman. "Show me," he demanded. Her lips curled into a small smile, weak, tired, but filled with hope. She stepped backward, pointing toward a staircase that sank into the black earth. The steps were cracked, covered in dust, leading down into a place no light touched. "Follow," she said softly. "Bring the food. They are waiting." Elias stood there for a long moment, the shadows pressing closer, the silence of the ruins heavy around him. His choices were simple: turn back to safety, or step forward into darkness with a strange woman who might not even be human. But he had already come this far. With slow steps, his boots echoing against the stone, Elias followed her again down the ancient staircase. The ration bar felt heavy in his hand, heavier than any weapon. And as the darkness swallowed them both, Elias wondered if he had just made a bargain he would never escape. The staircase was old and broken. Each step groaned under Elias's boots as he followed the strange woman deeper into the ruins. The air grew colder, damp, and heavy with a strange smell, like rust mixed with earth. His helmet light cut through the dark, but shadows seemed to close in behind him, swallowing the path he left. The woman's pale figure moved ahead of him, her silver eyes glowing faintly. She did not need light. She did not need to see the steps. Her movements were calm, certain, as though she had walked this path 1,000 times before. Elias glanced at the ration bar in his hand. It was small, not enough for many mouths. If she was telling the truth about children, then one bar would hardly save them. Unless they were not normal children. Unless their hunger was something else. His grip tightened. He told himself again, stay sharp. Be ready for anything. The air grew thicker. The silence broke with faint noises, a scraping, a scratching like claws against stone. Elias froze. The sound came from below, echoing through the tunnels. He raised his blaster, scanning the shadows. The woman stopped but did not turn around. They are waiting, she whispered. They are weak. Do not fear them. Her voice was calm, but Elias's instincts screamed louder. Something was alive down here. Something hungry. They reached the bottom of the staircase. The ground leveled into a wide passage, its walls wet with black moss that glistened under his light. Strange markings were scratched into the stone, deep and sharp as if made by claws. Elias's heartbeat quickened. He moved slowly, blaster raised, light steady. Then he heard it. A hiss. Low. Fragile. But not human. The woman lifted her hands gently, like a mother calming her young. Easy, she whispered into the darkness. I have brought him. I have brought food. Shadows stirred ahead. Shapes moved against the walls. Small twisted bodies crawled into the edge of the light. Elias's breath caught. At first they looked like children. Small frames, thin arms, trembling legs. But their eyes glowed like hers, silver and bright. Their skin was pale and cracked as if starving for life itself. Their mouths opened, showing sharp, needle-like teeth. They hissed again, the sound echoing through the tunnel. Elias lifted his blaster instinctively. His finger hovered near the trigger, but the woman raised her hand quickly. No, she cried. Do not harm them. They are mine. They are yours now. The creatures crawled closer, their eyes fixed on the ration bar in his hand. Their hissing softened, turning into low, desperate whimpers. They were hungry. So hungry Elias's stomach tightened. These were no ordinary children. They looked half human, half something else born of shadow and starfire. Their movements were strange, jerking, yet filled with a kind of painful desperation. The woman knelt on the ground, her arms open wide. My children, she whispered. You will eat. You will live. The creatures gathered around her, clinging to her as though she were their only hope. They cried out in strange voices, high and sharp, filling the tunnel with haunting echoes. Elias stood frozen. Every instinct told him to run, but his curiosity chained him in place. Slowly, he held out the ration bar. The silver eyes of the creatures locked onto it instantly. Their whimpers turned into shrieks of need. The woman looked up at him, her eyes shining brighter. Give it to them! Let them taste life again. His hand trembled. He had faced death before, pirates, alien beasts, endless wars, but this was different. This was not a fight. This was a choice. With a deep breath, he tore open the ration bar. The smell of food filled the tunnel. The creatures hissed louder, crawling closer, their teeth glinting in the dim light. He tossed the piece onto the ground before them. In an instant, they attacked it. Their small hands clawed, their sharp teeth tore, their bodies shaking as they devoured every crumb. The sound was not eating, it was ripping, gnashing, tearing. Elias stepped back, his stomach twisting at the sight. But when the last piece was gone, something changed. The creatures lifted their heads slowly. Their silver eyes glowed brighter. Their cracked skin pulsed faintly with new strength. The hissing stopped. For the first time there was silence. Then, as one, they turned to Elias. Not to attack, not to hiss but to bow, their small bodies bent low, their foreheads pressing against the stone. The woman's smile trembled as tears fell from her silver eyes. "They accept you," she whispered. "They know you. You are no longer a stranger. You are their provider, their master." Elias's chest tightened. He had not expected this. He had not wanted this, and yet the creatures were staring at him now with something like devotion, something like worship. But behind that devotion in their glowing eyes, he saw something else. Hunger. Endless hunger. The woman rose to her feet, her voice soft but filled with promise. "This is only the beginning. Feed them and they will rise. They will serve you, fight for you, die for you. All I ask is that you never let them starve again." Elias said nothing. His mind was a storm. Were they servants? Or were they weapons? And what had he truly awakened in these ruins? The scratching began again, deeper in the tunnels. More sounds. More whispers. More children. And Elias realized the hunger was far from over. The tunnel walls shook with the sound of scratching. It was not only the children Elias had already seen. There were more. Many more. Their cries rose from the deeper dark, echoing through the stone like a storm of whispers. Elias gripped his blaster tightly, his finger brushing the trigger. His light shook as he aimed it toward the blackness ahead. The creatures around the woman hissed softly, but they did not attack. Instead, they pressed closer to her, hiding their sharp faces against her pale arms. "They are coming," she whispered. Her silver eyes glowed brighter, shining like stars in the endless dark. "All of them. They have waited so long." Elias's stomach twisted. "All of them? How many were there?" The scratching grew louder. Then from the shadows, more figures appeared. Small, thin, trembling shapes, crawling along the walls and ceiling like insects. Dozens. Hundreds. Their glowing eyes lit up the tunnel until it looked like a river of stars flowing straight toward him. He stepped back quickly. "There are too many." The woman turned to him, her face calm, almost proud. "They are my children. All of them. They are hungry, but they are loyal. You gave them life again, and now they will never forget you." Elias's jaw tightened. His instincts screamed at him to run. Yet he stayed, frozen, caught between fear and fascination. The creatures moved closer, their silver eyes fixed on him, not with anger but with devotion. They stopped only when the woman raised her hand. The tunnel fell into silence. The sound of their hunger faded into heavy breathing, 100 tiny chests rising and falling in unison. Elias forced himself to speak. His voice was low, steady. "What are they?" The woman turned her gaze back to him. "They are mine. They are my blood, my children." "That is not an answer," Elias said sharply. "They are not human. They are not normal." Her lips trembled, but her voice stayed soft. "Once long ago, this place was full of life. A city of light and song. My people ruled here. We were many. We were strong, but then the hunger came." Her silver eyes dimmed as she spoke, her voice cracking like dry stone. "The sun above us faded. The crops withered. The rivers dried. We starved. My people prayed to the stars for salvation, and the stars answered, but with a price." Elias felt a chill. "What price?" Her face lowered, her hair falling like a veil across her pale cheeks. "My children were born changed. Not like you, not like me. They carry the hunger within them, an endless hunger. Without food, they wither, they die. With food, they grow, stronger, faster, sharper." She touched the head of one of the creatures beside her. It purred softly, almost like a cat. Its silver eyes closed with peace as her hand stroked its cracked skin. "They are not monsters," she said firmly. "They are mine. They are all I have left." Elias swallowed hard. His light moved across the tunnel, showing the hundreds of eyes still watching him. They shifted restlessly, their small bodies twitching with need. The sound of their breathing filled his ears like a drumbeat. He stepped back again. "You want me to keep feeding them?" "To keep them alive," the woman nodded slowly. "Yes, you have already begun. They tasted your gift. Now they know you. They will follow you. They will serve you." "Serve me?" Elias asked. Her silver eyes locked onto his. "Yes, they were made for it. To fight, to kill, to protect. They are soldiers waiting for a master. You gave them life again. Now they belong to you." The words cut into him like a blade. Soldiers. Weapons. Not children at all, but a brood of living weapons. bound to hunger. Elias's throat felt dry. And if I stop feeding them? The woman's voice fell to a whisper. Then they will die, slowly, painfully, and they will curse your name with their last breath. The creatures hissed again at her words, their silver eyes glowing fiercely in the dark. Elias felt the air shift, heavy with their restless energy. He realized then, he was trapped. If he turned his back now, they would not let him leave. The woman had led him too far. The children had already chosen him. The woman stepped closer, her voice trembling with both sorrow and hope. Do not fear them. They will not harm you. They will protect you. They will fight for you. All I ask is that you never let them starve again. Elias looked around. Hundreds of glowing eyes stared back at him, unblinking, waiting. The weight of their devotion pressed against him like chains. For a long moment he said nothing. His chest rose and fell with heavy breaths. Finally, he lowered his blaster. Show me, he said. Show me what they really are. The woman's lips curved into a faint smile. She raised her hand and the creatures moved back, opening a path through the swarm. The tunnel ahead glowed with silver eyes leading deeper into the earth. Then come, she said softly. It is time you see the truth. Elias followed, though every step felt heavier than the last. He did not know if he was walking into knowledge or into his own grave. And behind him the endless silver eyes followed in silence, glowing brighter, hungrier, waiting for what was to come. The tunnel opened into a vast chamber. Elias stopped at the entrance, his helmet light sweeping across the wide stone walls. Broken pillars rose like the bones of giants, and the ceiling stretched high above, lost in shadow. Strange markings covered every surface, spirals and sharp symbols that seemed to pulse faintly when his light touched them. But it was not the carvings that stole his breath. It was the sea of glowing eyes staring back at him. Hundreds, maybe thousands, of the creatures filled the chamber. Small, thin, trembling bodies pressed together, their silver eyes fixed on him with desperate hunger. The sound of their breathing filled the air, sharp and ragged like an endless chorus of starving mouths. Elias tightened his grip on the blaster. His instincts screamed that he was trapped, too many. If they attacked, he would not survive. The woman stepped into the chamber without fear. Her pale figure glowed faintly in the dark, her silver eyes burning brighter as she raised her arms. My children, she whispered, he has come. He has fed you, and now he will test you. The creatures hissed softly, their heads tilting as though they understood. The sound of claws against stone echoed as they shifted restlessly, waiting. Elias's voice was low, sharp. Test them? What do you mean? The woman turned to him, her face calm, her eyes shining with a strange hope. They are weak now, half dead, but with your gift they will rise. Show them more. Give them strength. Then you will see what they are. Elias frowned. Strength for what? Her answer was soft but heavy. For you. He looked at the ration pack on his belt. Only a few bars remained. Enough for himself, enough to survive if he rationed carefully. Feeding them again could cost him his own life. But as he stood there, hundreds of silver eyes stared back at him, waiting, begging, desperate. His chest tightened. He had never seen devotion like this before. Creatures bowing to him as if he were their savior. And yet behind that devotion he saw it again. Hunger. Endless hunger. Elias tore another ration bar from his pack. He hesitated only a moment, then threw it into the chamber. The creatures reacted instantly. A shriek tore through the chamber as they rushed forward, colliding in a frenzy. Their clawed hands tore at the food, their teeth snapping, their bodies shaking as they devoured every crumb. The sound was terrible, ripping, gnashing, snarling. Elias stepped back, his stomach twisting. Then silence. The creatures froze. Their silver eyes blazed brighter. Their trembling stopped. Their thin, broken bodies straightened, their limbs strong once more. The sound of their breathing changed. It was no longer weak and ragged. It was deep, powerful. Elias's hand tightened on his blaster. Something was happening. The woman's voice was soft, proud. Watch. The creatures began to move. Faster now, stronger. They climbed the walls, ran across the ceiling, leapt from stone to stone like shadows come alive. Their shrieks echoed like thunder through the chamber as they showed their new strength. Elias watched in awe and horror. These were not helpless children anymore. They were predators, silent, swift, and deadly. One creature dropped from the ceiling, landing on a broken pillar with impossible grace. Another leapt across the chamber, clearing a distance no human could. Their movements were smooth now, almost beautiful in their terror. Elias whispered under his breath. "They're soldiers." The woman turned to him, her silver eyes burning. "Yes, they are mine. And now they are yours." Her words sent a chill down his spine. Soldiers. A brood army waiting only for him? But Elias could not shake the thought. What if they turned on him? What if the food was not enough? As if sensing his fear, the creatures stopped. Slowly as one, they turned their silver eyes toward him. Then with eerie silence, they bowed again. Hundreds of bodies pressing low to the stone, foreheads touching the ground. The devotion in their movement was unmistakable. They were not just fed. They were bound. The woman's voice trembled with emotion. "You see now. They are loyal. They are strong. With your gift, they will rise higher still. They will fight for you. Die for you. All you must do is keep them fed." Elias stared at the endless silver eyes. A part of him felt power like never before, an army at his command, bound by hunger and devotion. But another part of him felt only dread, because power like this always carried a cost. He lowered his blaster slowly, his voice hard. "If I lead them, where will they go? What will they do?" The woman stepped closer, her face pale and hopeful. "They will follow you anywhere, to any world, against any enemy. Their claws will tear your foes apart. Their teeth will drink victory for you. You will never stand alone again." Elias's heart pounded. The chamber hummed with the sound of their breath, the sound of living weapons waiting for his command. But deep inside, he knew one truth. These creatures were not just hungry. They were endless, and by feeding them, he had begun something he might never be able to stop. The chamber was silent. Hundreds of glowing eyes stared at Elias, unblinking. Their bodies bowed low in submission. The stone floor trembled faintly under the weight of so many creatures breathing as one. Elias stood frozen, the blaster heavy in his hand. He had fought pirates, beasts, even machines that wanted him dead, but never had he seen such a sight. An army of living shadows born of hunger, now waiting for his command. The woman stepped forward, her pale form glowing faintly in the darkness. She lifted her hands, her voice soft and trembling. "They are yours now. You gave them life. You gave them strength. They are bound to you." Elias shook his head. His voice was low, sharp. "I didn't ask for this." Her silver eyes locked onto his. "You may not have asked, but they chose you. Do you not feel it? Their loyalty, their devotion, they are no longer mine alone. They belong to you." The creatures hissed softly, almost like agreement. Some crawled closer on hands and feet, their glowing eyes never leaving him. Elias stepped back instinctively, but they did not attack. Instead, they knelt before him, their sharp heads bowed. His throat felt dry. A soldier in him wanted to reject them, to turn and run, to escape before it was too late. But another voice whispered inside him, the voice of a man who had traveled the stars alone, who had faced death countless times with no one at his side. And now, before him, was loyalty. Pure, unquestioning loyalty. Elias's heart pounded. "Why me?" he asked. The woman lowered her head. "Because you fed them. Because you gave when no one else would. For years, others came to this world. They feared us. They killed us. But you shared. That act alone binds them to you forever." Her voice trembled with emotion. "Do you not understand? You are no longer alone in the dark. You are master now." The word master cut deep into him. He did not want to be a master of creatures that looked like children. Yet as the silver eyes stared back at him, he felt the weight of power pressing down on his shoulders. One of the creatures crawled forward. Its body was thin, its skin cracked, but its eyes burned with light. Slowly, it pressed its forehead against his boot, bowing low. Then another did the same, and another. Soon, dozens of them were pressed to the ground before him. Elias's chest tightened. He had not spoken a word, yet they treated him as if he were their savior. The woman smiled faintly, tears shining in her eyes. "They accept you. They will obey you. Command them, and they will do as you ask." Elias lifted his blaster slightly, his voice sharp. "Obey me even if I tell them to stop?" Her silver eyes glimmered. "Yes, even then. They will never turn on you. They know your scent, your voice, your gift. You are written into them now. Elias lowered his weapon slowly, his mind storming. He had power here, but power came with chains. Could he lead them, should he? The silence broke with a sudden shriek. From the far side of the chamber, one of the creatures darted forward, leaping high into the air. Elias raised his blaster, ready to fire, but the creature did not strike him. Instead, it landed on a massive stone pillar, sinking its claws deep into the rock. With one violent motion, it shattered the pillar into pieces. The sound thundered through the chamber. Dust filled the air. Elias's eyes widened. That strength, it was beyond human. The woman's voice echoed proudly. Do you see? Fed, they are unstoppable. They are soldiers, hunters, weapons, and they are yours. Elias's hand trembled on the blaster. He realized then that the woman was not lying. These creatures would follow him anywhere. Into war, into fire, into death. But something in their silver eyes unsettled him. They were loyal, yes, but their hunger had not faded. It pulsed inside them, endless, eternal. Elias asked in a low voice, "What if I fail them? What if I cannot feed them?" The woman lowered her head. Then they will starve, and their bodies will wither. But their loyalty will not break. They will die for you even in hunger. The words pressed heavy on him. Loyalty unto death. Devotion born not of choice but of hunger. Elias looked at the endless eyes watching him. For the first time in years, he was not alone. Yet the weight of that loyalty felt more dangerous than any weapon. The woman stepped closer, her voice soft, almost pleading. Do not fear this gift, accept it. With them, you can carve your name across the stars. No army can stand against you. No enemy can defeat you. They are your shield, your sword, your children now. Her words echoed in the chamber, heavy and haunting. Elias did not answer. He stared at the creatures, their glowing eyes reflecting him like mirrors. Part of him felt stronger than ever before. Part of him felt trapped in a chain he could never break. And in the silence, he realized the truth, whether he wanted it or not. He was no longer just a man. He was a master. The chamber was silent again. Elias stood among the bowing creatures, their silver eyes fixed on him like stars in the night. The weight of their loyalty pressed down on him heavier than any chain. He had not asked for this, yet now he was their master. The woman stepped closer, her pale face glowing faintly in the dim light. Her silver eyes shimmered with pride and sorrow. You have done what no one else could, she whispered. You gave them life. You gave them hope. They are yours now forever. Elias kept his voice steady. Forever is a long time. Her lips curved into a fragile smile. Time means little to them. They will wait centuries for you if they must. Their devotion does not fade. Her words chilled him. Devotion was power, but devotion without end was also a prison. He turned his gaze across the chamber, the hundreds of glowing eyes, the thin, trembling bodies that were now strong again. They were weapons. They were an army. They were his. But somewhere inside, he still felt the same question gnawing at him. Why me? The woman seemed to sense his thoughts. She lowered her head. You wonder why the stars chose you, why my children bow to you. I will tell you. But you must be ready. Elias's voice was firm. Tell me. She raised her hand, pointing to the far side of the chamber. In the shadows, half hidden among broken stones, something gleamed faintly. Elias stepped forward, his boots crunching on the dust. The creatures parted silently, opening a path for him as if guided by an unseen hand. The beam of his helmet light fell across the object. His chest froze. It was armor, human armor, old, broken, and covered in dust. The bones inside it were brittle, long dead, but the shape was unmistakable. A human soldier just like him lay collapsed against the wall, his weapon rusted at his side. Elias's breath caught in his throat. What is this? The woman's voice was soft, almost mournful. He was like you, a wanderer among the stars. He came here long ago, drawn by the same signal. He heard my plea. He gave my children food, and they loved him as they love you. Elias's grip tightened on his blaster. And what happened to him? Her silver eyes dimmed, shadows crossing her face. He became their master. As you have. But loyalty has a price. Elias turned sharply toward her. What price? Her voice lowered to a whisper. He fed them as long as he could. But their hunger is endless. When his rations ran dry, he gave more. He gave everything. His strength, his blood, his life. The words struck him like a blade. Elias looked back at the skeleton in the armor. The bones were thin, broken, drained. Not a man who had fallen in battle, but a man who had been consumed slowly, piece by piece. Elias's stomach twisted. They killed him. The woman shook her head quickly. No, they did not kill him. He gave himself, willingly, out of love, out of duty. They begged him to stop, but he would not. Because he could not leave them. Elias's voice grew sharp. That's not loyalty. That's a curse. The woman stepped closer, her silver eyes burning with intensity. No, that is devotion. And now it is your turn. You are stronger than he was, wiser. You will succeed where he failed. My children will never starve again, not while you lead them. Elias felt the eyes on him again. Hundreds of silver lights, staring, waiting, begging. Their loyalty was real, yes, but so was their hunger. He stepped back, shaking his head. No, I won't end like him. The woman's voice grew soft, almost sweet. Perhaps you won't, perhaps you will. But the bond is made. You cannot break it now. They are yours. Forever. The creatures hissed softly, their devotion filling the chamber like a prayer. Some reached their clawed hands toward him, not to attack, but to touch, to cling, to remind him that they were his. Elias raised his blaster, but the weapon felt small, meaningless against so many, against their hunger, against their loyalty. His heart pounded. He looked once more at the skeleton in the corner, the last human who had accepted this gift. And in that moment, Elias understood the truth. He was not the first. And unless he found a way to escape, he would not be the last. The woman's whisper echoed through the chamber, soft and haunting. You will not leave this world, Elias Kane, not truly. For even if your body dies, your name will remain, forever written in their hunger. The chamber filled with the sound of hissing, of claws scraping stone, of endless devotion pressing in from all sides. Elias tightened his grip on the blaster, his breath shaking. He had one choice left, to lead them, or to fight them, and either way the galaxy would never forget his name.